Welcome to the College Investor Audio Show. Today, Democratic senators file a resolution to block Trump PSLF employer restrictions. We're not taking sides. This is just what's happening. We're just going to report facts and what's going on one side versus the other side, but we're not taking sides. I'm a small government libertarian, just full disclosure, but we are reporting what's actually going on in politics. But this isn't a political discussion. Okay, anyway. So with that said, if you want to dive deeper inside this article, you can always find any article we talk about on the podcast is at thecollegeinvestor.com. All right, let's go then. A group of Democratic senators led by Tim Kaine, Virginia, Kirsten Gillibrand, New York, Cory Booker, New Jersey, introduced a Congressional Review Act, or a CRA, resolution. You can dive into the PDF if you like at thecollegeinvestor.com. It's riveting. This week to overturn the Trump administration's new PSLF rule that gives Education Secretary Linda McMahon authority to disqualify certain public service employers from the program. And if you want to know what that means, you can dive deeper on that rule as well. A companion resolution was introduced in the House by Representatives Joe Courtney, Alma Adams, and Scott Peters, all Democrats, Connecticut, North Carolina, California, respectively. The resolution currently has 27 Senate co-sponsors, including Chuck Schumer, Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, those people. Bernie's not a Democrat, but you know what I mean. Once the senators collect 30 signatures, the resolution can be called for a floor vote, and then it would just need a simple majority. All right, that's all the backstory. Here's why it matters. The Trump administration's rule would allow the Department of Education to strip PSLF eligibility from certain employers, which would be based on their mission, their perceived ideological alignment. I think perceived could be the key word that's tripping people up. It shouldn't be perceived. It should actually just be what they claim, right? Anyway. Or involvement in activities the administration deems to have a substantial illegal purpose, and that needs to be defined as well. So that's why critics argue it gives the Secretary of Education kind of this sweeping and subjective discretion to pick and choose which public servants qualify for forgiveness. Congress created PSLF in 2007 with bipartisan support, by the way, under President George W. Bush. The program allows for borrowers to receive student loan forgiveness after making 10 years of qualifying payments, we all know this, while working for an eligible public service employer. This new rule changes just who counts as a qualifying employer, which potentially affects, maybe, teachers, nurses, social workers, nonprofit hospital staff, and others who took lower-paying jobs in exchange for that promise. I don't think it's going to go that far. Anyway, these are subjective things. That's why this needs to be defined. And here are the details. The CRA resolution would void the rule entirely and prevent the Department of Education from issuing a substantially similar rule without congressional authorization. Just has to go through Congress, that's all. Under the rule, as written, McMahon could actually disqualify employers based on a preponderance of the evidence standard, which could include court rulings, settlements, or administrative determination without a formal trial. Borrowers working for disqualified employers after July 1st of 26 would lose PSLF credit for payments made from that point forward, not from what they had already paid. That's another key. Individuals have no right to appeal the employer disqualification decision. The resolution has backing from 24 organizations or so, including the American Bar Association, Student Veterans of America, and the National Consumer Law Center. Here's what to watch. So the senators need 3 more signatures to force a floor vote. Even if this resolution passes, by the way, President Trump would almost certainly veto it, meaning Congress would need a 2/3 supermajority to override the veto. That makes passage unlikely, but there are also multiple court cases which are challenging the rule as well. Borrowers currently enrolled in PSLF should monitor any communication from their employer about disqualification. I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal, but we're keeping an eye on it anyway. Payments made before a potential July 2026 implementation would not be affected, but employer eligibility could shift. Now, let's connect the dots real quick and then we'll wrap it up. The College Investor has been tracking these PSLF rule changes since the proposed rulemaking stage. Our earlier coverage broke down which workers could lose PSLF under the new restrictions. You can find that article. We also detailed the proposed rules that may block workers from loan forgiveness when the final rule was released. You can find that as well. The substantial illegal purpose standard covers areas ranging from immigration law violations to providing transgender medical care to minors, which would be the key word there, giving the Secretary of Education broad discretion over which nonprofits and public employers do remain eligible. We're going to keep our eye on it. Again, just from my perspective, when you're dealing with political things, it is one extreme against another extreme. So we have to kind of take what these political people say with a grain of salt, because they're obviously going to go to the most extreme cases and appeal to emotion, which doesn't necessarily bode well for logical thinking processes. So I got to throw that out there because a lot of this is emotion based. But it is important nonetheless to follow along with it, but just make sure we keep our emotions in check and just think logically and rationally. If you want to dive deeper into this topic and anything else we talk about on the podcast, again, just find it at thecollegeinvestor.com. We got tons of articles about this particular topic and some of the rule changes. You can also drop us a line, send us feedback, anything you want. We'd love to hear from you and just get to know you a little bit better, because we'd love to come alongside of you and help you navigate all this craziness. Just search for us all over social media at The College Investor, and you'll find us. Thanks so much for stopping by today, and we'll talk to you again real soon.